Welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast.
Where we never finish first because we finish last. Get it? Sex joke.
Sex joke. Thank you once again for tuning in to the Loaded Box Podcast. I am Ben, that is DJ, and this is an impromptu podcast. We weren't expected to do this.
Poop.
Nice. Way to limp in with that. I like it.
Yeah. I don't know what to say there.
Nice. Well, due to some timing of recent injuries, we're going to do this impromptu podcast, which will probably be the last podcast before our season predictions episodes. I know that that's one of our favorite ones. I mean, we've done it once in our lives, and it's probably one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, and we should be moving to 2 times per week pretty quick here.
That was the next thing that I was going to say here. So thanks for the lead in, because once the season starts, we will be doing 2 a week. One's going to be more. One's going to be more of like an instant reaction to the games, and then another one with some daily fantasy lineups, some against the spread picks, some fantasy football lineup questions. So pretty much anything that you want, you're going to get. So
and always the life advice is always going to be sprinkled in there.
Most importantly, the life advice. Yeah. I think we've. I wanted to talk about this quick too. We're going to do this one, and then we're hopping on right after this with the beer-fueled fantasy guys. So we're going to hop on their podcast, and they're probably going to ask for some life advice as well. So after you check out this podcast, I think that they're going to be releasing theirs probably on Monday. I don't know what the date is today. Today's the 27th. They'll probably be available on the 28th, but probably going to be a good one, I'm assuming. Since we don't have to drive it, we can just give our thoughts and analysis. So it's going to be fun. But let's hop into this instant reactions, because your boy, Blake Bortles, was named at least the Week 1 starter.
Why is he my boy, though? Because he was 100% your boy last year. You were.
I cut ties, man. I cut ties. I basically like I was about to have him, and then I just pulled the plug. I had an abortion. I aborted Blake Bortles.
Yeah, but last year he was your boy. You had him in every goddamn league that I saw you in.
It's a life thing, though. You live and you learn. I mean, you get burnt once. You don't go back. You don't put your hand near the fire again. You just get out.
He was still top 10 in fantasy football scoring, so it's not like.
Yeah, but it was that garbage time where it's going to give you a headache every single time you're watching him. It's you have 6 points out of him. It's midway through the third or fourth quarter, and you're like, oh, well, there went that week, and then next thing you know, he's got 25 points.
Yeah, well, points are points.
Yeah, doesn't matter when they come.
We're not Jaguar fans by any means, so who gives a shit?
At least one of the guys with beer fueled is, so that'll be fun.
Sucks for them.
Well, with him named starter, what do you feel about his fantasy value, and then his receivers like Robinson and Hearns? What do you feel about their value now that he's named the starter for Week 1?
So everybody wants to go ahead and shit on Bortles. They liked him year 1. Year number 2, all of a sudden he's the worst guy ever. Why? I don't understand why everybody's just shitting all over him already. I know his throwing motion's long, but it's not like it's been any different than year 1.
So I think this is what it is, though. I think people saw a little bit of potential there, and they saw his numbers. Not everyone was watching him super close. Once you realized and you started watching him more close, you realized his fundamentals were out of whack. You realized he was throwing ducks. And it was maybe that potential that we saw was a little bit fake, and if anything, he's regressed. So I think that's why it happened so fast, because we thought that potential was there. We gave him some time, and then it was gone.
I mean, you gave him 2 years, but I still like the guy, honestly. I think right now he's just overthinking things too much. I think if he plays plays instinctively, he'll be a lot better once he starts to get comfortable and back in it again, move him around a little bit. He's good with his feet and on the move. I don't hate it. I still like him. I still think he's going to work well with Allen. I just don't understand how all of a sudden him and Allen Robinson can just fall off the radar now after being in year 3. So I still think Allen Robinson's a sneaky under-the-radar guy for this year. Not sure where to rank a guy like Allen Hearns. So it's kind of tough. And then you've got Fournette coming in there. I think the thing that gives me more comfort is the fact that I honestly believe that Fournette, the added depth or the addition of Fournette is going to give him more time. Besides behind I think an offensive line that's struggling to pass block as well. And I mean, so not everything's on Bortles, but they're actually a pretty good run blocking offensive line. So I think the threat of the run once they get Fournette rolling this year, I think will help Blake Bortles and those wide receivers.
Yeah, I was going to hit on that because you talked about that a couple weeks ago. It was if you can simplify things for Bortles and really get the running game going and you're not always playing from 10 points down, any quarterback can look better. So I think since they're in the quarterback conundrum that they're in, that's probably the strategy that they're going to go. And Doug Marrone likes to run the ball anyways. So for how much I don't like him as a head coach, it's probably the best fit for him where he can try to make Bortles hide his flaws a little bit by, like you said, getting the run game going and then working in some bootlegs and some play action. I think that's the way they're going to have to go if they want to have any success.
I tell you what, I will draft a quarterback. I can see myself drafting a quarterback and just waiting until like end of the thing to draft like Blake Bortles just because he's put up fantasy numbers like that.
That's not a bad idea, to be totally honest with you. I mean, for how much I hate him and for how much I'm going to duck him, I've moved him down to 23 in my rankings. He was right around like 16, 17. I've moved him down to basically one of the last quarterbacks that is draftable if you're drafting two quarterbacks and only starting one.
Yep.
As far as receivers go, I had Robinson right around like that 13, 14 mark. I've actually dropped him to 21. But it's not just because of this Bortles news of recent. It's because like ever since I put him there, I'm like, you know what, he's a real big candidate for a bounce back year.
Yeah.
And just the more I was reading, the more I was seeing, I was like, Robinson, like there was videos of him at training camp practice basically like cursing out Bortles. Like it just looked like a train wreck. I'm like, you know what? If he's going to be a top end wide receiver 2, he's not going to be for me. So I basically turned him into a low level wide receiver 2. Are you dropping him in your rankings at all?
No, not really. I'm higher on him because of the addition of Fournette. So I expect a bounce back year this year. So I'm probably going to be a little bit higher. I'm going to take that risk and hope that he has a bounce back year this year. I'm okay with it. He'll probably end up being a number 2 wide receiver anyways. So I think if I can get him with a great value as my number 2 wide receiver, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next big injury, probably one of the bigger injuries so far in training camp from a non-quarterback standpoint. Julian Edelman for the Patriots out for the season. Who do you like in that offense now, maybe to fill what his role was or could have been, and is that going to change your ranking of Tom Brady at all?
I mean, obviously, Amendola will fill in for him.
Dildos fill in. That's what they do, man.
Yeah, Danny Amendola will fill in and kind of take that spot of the slot guy. Tom Brady's rankings, I mean, Tom Brady does what he does. It doesn't really matter who his wide receivers are. So I think, Amendola's value goes up. And like I said, Robert Gronkowski's still going to be the guy there.
Yeah.
You got a plethora of running backs. Don't know who's going to be involved, but you got James White, Rex Burkhead, all involved in the passing game as well. And like I said, I'm not going to be high on Brandon Cooks purely because Brady's more about protecting his body at this point in his career, and it just feels like he's going to get the ball out of his hands. He's not Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers is comfortable holding onto the ball for 5 to 8 seconds, where Tom Brady's getting the ball out 3 seconds or less. Yeah. More likely than not, to protect himself from getting hit, because he's not running anywhere. He's not escaping the pocket. He's got good awareness. So, I mean, if the guy's about to hit him, he's either going to throw it immediately or just drop and take a sack without getting touched. So. Yeah,
we were opposite on Cooks because I had him as a low-end wide receiver 1, and then I had Edelman like low-end wide receiver 2 or high wide receiver 3.
Yeah, I hit him at 24, I believe.
Right. So, I don't know. I'm still a little – I'm even on Cooks. I don't think Cooks is going to be like world better now.
Yeah.
I think I kept Cooks basically where he is.
I don't think I think a lot of people are going to shoot him up to like number maybe like just outside that top 5.
And I think some people are with you. And instead of Amendola, I actually had Chris Hogan.
Chris Hogan?
Yeah, I had him in like I had him in like the 70s for me, and now I've bumped him up to wide receiver 39.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's too unrealistic, but at the same point, he's boom or bust for me. I really think that if he could step into that role, and he won't be like what Edelman could have been, but he could have legit like wide receiver 3 or low end wide receiver 2 numbers. But if the Patriots do what they've done in the past, let's say they work all these running backs into like pass catching roles.
Yep.
Hogan, and you draft him as high as wide receiver 39. It's not like it's going to kill you, but he could easily become useless because Burkhead, White, Lewis, all those guys get touches instead.
You know what I'm thinking, and the more I think about it, now that you brought this up, this just popped in my head, but I think Hogan could be somebody that affects Brandon Cook's scoring for me as well, because Brady's more and more comfortable with where he's going to his one deep threat as the last couple of years. So he could be somebody that kind of hurts Brandon Cooks because he's just a comfortability, know where he's going to be. He's white, so Brady likes those guys. So it's one of those things that, I might make a bold prediction right now. I think that I can see Chris Hogan.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Is ranking just as high as what Brandon Cooks is. But I don't think neither one of them are going to be that high.
It's fitting that we're going to be on the Beer Fueled podcast because I feel like you might be beer fueled right now.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're going to be that high either one, but I can see Chris Hogan right around the same scoring range of what Brandon Cooks is. You
do bring up a good point that the fact that Tom Brady's bread and butter has been that slot quick receiver. I mean, it's been Welker, it's been Deion Branch, it's been Edelman, it's been Amendola. So yeah, there is that familiarity there and he's played with Hogan. It's not like Hogan's brand new, but I'm not messing with my Brandon Cooks rankings, and I'm moving Hogan into like a top wide receiver 4. So not a person that's going to make or break your season, but has legit boom bust candidate written all over him.
Yeah, I'm not drafting Brandon Cooks this year, I guarantee that.
Well, I'll get to that, probably on a different podcast, but let's go into the last one here. Spencer Ware out for at least part of the season now after that non-contact injury that he had. How high are you on Kareem Hunt? Because fantasy football Twitter is going bananas over Kareem Hunt right now.
For good reason, probably. Kansas City's going to run the ball. That's what they do. They run the ball, they throw it to the tight ends, and then Tyreek Hill is forgotten. But I'm not sure I don't know much about Kareem Hunt yet. I haven't got to watch him. I haven't got the chance to watch him run the ball yet. And I actually like to watch a running back play. Like I mention all the time, I like to watch running backs because it gives me a better feel on how good I think that they're going to be in the future. So obviously you got to be. He's somebody that I think should take a risk on. Absolutely, with Spencer Ware out. I don't know why Kendrick West is forgotten, but that's fine with me. He's probably more of a third down back, anyways. But they run the ball. They're going to run the ball. He's going to score. You have to assume he's going to be low end running back 2, if not, high end running back 2, low end running back 1 by the time the season ends. If he's the starting running back the whole year.
Right. What scares me about Hunt is the fact that even before this Ware injury, he was basically shooting up in ADP and people's running back rankings. It was ridiculous. And then as soon as Ware went down, it was like, oh man, Kareem Hunt, like a must-have. So yeah. I feel, I've said this multiple times, rookie running backs, they're so hard to predict that if you were already going to draft him somewhat high, and now with the Ware injury, you're bumping up even higher, if you look at things in a risk versus reward situation, I feel like the risk is a little bit too high. Like you said, though, Kansas City runs the ball. That's what they do.
Yeah.
But a rookie running back, it's not like Ware's going to be out for the whole season, as of what I've heard so far. I'm a little leery to jump all in with where you're going to have to pick him. So I think I'm just based on where he's going to go in drafts. I don't think Hunt is for me.
That's fair. Nice. Fair analysis. I can't really argue against it, but
boom.
I wouldn't hate having him on my team. With Kansas City, the fact that they run the ball so often, I can't not. If he's there with a good value, I absolutely don't. I don't see myself not taking him.
Would you end up trying to get Spencer Ware later in the draft?
Spencer Ware?
Yeah.
The guy who's going to be out for this. You think he's out for part of the season or the whole season?
Well, it's kind of up in the air right now based on the things I've heard.
I wouldn't risk that because No, I wouldn't even touch him.
So even if he comes back, just roll with Hunt?
Yeah, Charkandrick West would be maybe a free agent pickup I'd go with, but I wouldn't even think about Spencer Ware at all. Before
the injury, I was all about Spencer Ware, even when people were jumping up Kareem Hunt. I said that stat a couple podcasts ago. Last year, he had double-digit carries in all but one game. So they were feeding him the rock, and that's what you look for in fantasy football with running backs. You need touches. But I don't know. I guess ever since that happened, I think I liked Hunt. I still like him, but I think he's going to go higher than what I'm willing to draft him. So I think as for the Kansas City running backs, I'm going to probably end up passing. Listener question, you ready?
Yeah, Draftneck is out here balling for the Bears right now.
Is that the game that's on?
Yeah, the Bears and Titans right now. They're good on the opening drive. They've had the ball pretty much the entire fucking first drive here. Draftneck looks good. I thought it was Trubisky right away.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Well, Draftneck, the one thing I know about him is he's not draftable. So even though we're talking about him,
he's not.
Erase that name from your draft board.
All right.
Listener question that we got in. Offered Dak Prescott and Samaje Perine for Eli Manning and Jamal Williams. Should I do the deal?
Yeah. I wanted to respond to this right away, but I don't like to double respond. So I know me and you both are active on the Twitter, but I wanted to say, if I had a chance to respond, I'd be like, hit the accept button as fast as possible before the guy changes his mind. Like, there's no doubt. And I don't know if this is a dynasty league or if this is they didn't mention the kind of league they were in, but I'm going to go ahead and just assume it's a dynasty league.
Yeah.
And if it is, yeah, absolutely, because you've got two young guys in Dak and Perine, who both, Perine could be the majority back for the Redskins this year. They seem to like him, and then obviously Dak's the quarterback. And Manning, to me, Eli Manning's just garbage. So
yeah, you always hated Eli.
Yeah, just because he's bad at football.
I look at it like quarterback versus quarterback. So Dak versus Eli. I literally have Eli and Dak right next to each other in my fantasy rankings. So that's a wash for me. And then I really do like Jamal Williams. You know I like Jamal Williams, but at the same time, like in this rookie season, who's going to end up probably being asked to do more and given more of an opportunity? That's Samaje Perine. So I think that's the deal in this. So like DJ said, yeah, as soon as you make your decision, which it should be now, as soon as you hear this, go and click yes, because if anything, the trade isn't going to kill you. It's going to be a wash, I think, at worst.
No. I don't think it's a wash. I think it's a win.
Well, at worst, that's like the ceiling of the trade is a wash.
Jamal Williams, I don't think is going to be as productive at all this year. And then Eli's just Eli, and then you got Dak, who's going to play for multiple years if it's a type of league where you actually, like I said, a dynasty league. You've got Dak for the future. And then Samaje, I don't think it's even close, honestly, if it's that type of league.
And one more thing about owning Eli. I think he's a fine quarterback. That offensive line, I watched a little bit of their games recently. That offensive line is rough. He is going to have to get the ball out.
I don't know what he's doing anymore. I just don't understand. He just lobs the ball out there. His arm it looks like Peyton's at this point. It just looks awful. Everything he does. Accuracy, like arm strength is just bad.
Well, we just set a record for what could be our shortest podcast to date. So I'm proud of us for staying on topic as much as we did today.
Yeah, what is it, like 30 minutes?
Not 18, 19 minutes. So
nice.
So yeah, thanks for listening into the quick impromptu podcast. Like I said, we're going to be on the beer fueled podcast here in a little bit. So make sure you check that out as well. We're on Twitter at Loaded Box, available on iTunes. Search Loaded Box, subscribe, rate, and review there. So thanks, and next time you hear from us, you will be hearing our season predictions.
Bye!